and hello again, everyone. And for those of you just joining us, my name is Richard Franklin. I'm the Manager of Partnerships at Ontario Centres of Excellence. And it is my pleasure right away to introduce you to my friend who's our next innovation partner from the National Angel Capital Organization, or NACO. Here is Yuri Navarro, who is the Executive Director of NACO. NACO is Canada's industry association representing angel capital throughout Canada. It provides angel investors with a secure environment to network and learn from their peers, as well as the opportunity to be heard collectively on national issues. So if you have any questions, please fire them away at Yuri at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. First of all, I just wanted to take the temperature of the room a bit and see in the audience, just so that I know what I'm speaking to. I have about 15 slides that I can go through fairly quickly. How many of the people here are entrepreneurs? Okay, great. And how many have invested in a startup company before? Oh, okay. You got one over there too? Okay, great. And academics? Government? Perfect, okay. So just going to go through quickly and tell you a little bit about what NACO does, who we serve, and how we do that. Okay, so basically, NACO is the champion of Canada's angel asset class. That's basically the core message of who we are. We support the asset class to accelerate a thriving early stage investor ecosystem, which of course accelerates innovation, commercialization in Canada. And we work with individuals, groups, and our industry partners in order to help support that ecosystem. Working with our membership and with our partners, we provide trusted intelligence to the community. We connect investors and networks together. We support the best practices and development of best practices and professional development at the angel community. And on top of that, we also inform public policy on affecting angel investment and affecting early stage companies. So what is an angel investor? A lot of people know to some extent what an angel investor is, but essentially it's a fairly broad definition. An angel investor is an often experienced, often ex-entrepreneur individual with financial resources that invests in early stage companies and helps them develop through mentorship, through funding, and through their relationships. And this community typically, well, has to be accredited investors in order to be an angel investor. So you're talking typically about top 2 percentile of the country in terms of income and assets. And these people take the time to give back to the community, to invest in early stage companies and help them grow. They invest in the seed stage and also oftentimes invest in follow-on rounds of funding. And they invest in sectors that they know so that they can play an active role in the company, often taking an active role on the board of the company and supporting the efforts on a day-to-day basis. So Canadian angels fill the funding gap. This is essentially the reason why Canadian angels are important. If you look here, we have a map of the different sources of capital and the funding gap that everybody always talks about. Well, that's exactly the stage where angel investors play, either as individuals, groups, or in syndicates. And as the National Angel Organization, we promote the development of these groups, the development of these syndicates in order to provide funding through various stages to get the companies to where they need to be in order to get into IPO or VC or whatever the next stage might be for that company. So angel investing in Canada, it's an asset class that's fundamental to Canada's innovation ecosystem and commercialization. Angel investors are predominantly invest alone, but increasingly we're seeing that they're joining groups and investing together in syndicates. We encourage this, of course, like I said before. There are more than 30 formal investor groups in Canada that we've been able to identify, most of which are our members. And in 2012, just to give you an idea, we surveyed the groups. These are only the formal angel investor groups. We surveyed them, and 139 investments, 40.5 million, that's unlevered capital, that went from these 24 groups that they were into Canadian startups. Now, that's only a fraction of the actual amount of money that angels put into these companies. Oftentimes, These angel investors leverage either government funding, other stages of capital like VC or other government sources. And actually, because these groups are only a small portion of the overall angel asset class, what we've been able to estimate is that there's about $1 billion of angel investment that happens every year in Canada, which is quite significant because it's right up there with VC in the country. Now, these, just for your information, these are some of our Ontario member groups. These are groups that take pitches and do invest in angel investments. So we support their efforts to help support young companies. Now, how we support these groups, we're an empowering connector, we're the asset class champion, as I mentioned before, and we're the steward of angel intelligence. And what that means is that with our national presence, we're able to connect groups across the country. We're able to help a group with an investment in Vancouver find capital for that investment in Ontario or in Washington or in Boston. We do support those efforts. And we also facilitate connections between the different industry partners. So we help connect people like MaRS to some of our angel groups. And OC, for example, is one of our partners that we support in that effect. We encourage stronger national partnerships between industry and government as well. So through some of the work we've done, we've been able to encourage the relationships to happen between government and angels such that now we have support programs that help those angels. We're the steward of angel intelligence. What that means is we collect data. We collect data from our angel investors, and we, as I had mentioned before, we survey them, and we actually put out a report that's about 10 pages long once a year. We've been doing this for about 3 years now, and we plan to continue doing this. And this is just a way for the angels to be able to benchmark themselves with their investments, to be able to share information at a glance with their peers across the country and measure their success. And of course, that also helps us inform some of the public policy initiatives that we try to promote. And we're the asset class champion. So this is kind of our main mandate. This is who we are. We promote the asset class. We promote the brand of the asset class. We make sure that people are aware of what angel investors are. We try to identify angel investors that may not know they're angel investors in order to help them come into the ecosystem and take advantage of the networking opportunities and being able to share resources with their peers. And of course, finally, we do work with government on helping to inform public policy using our research, using our membership. And some of the policies that we've been working on lately are on the board there: taxation policy, industry regulation, and of course, government support programs. So these are just some of our partners. Couldn't fit everybody on this screen here, but you get an idea there. There's a mixture of government, of private sector, and accelerators. We work with all these partners in different ways in order to connect the ecosystem together and in order to be able to support the efforts of the angel investors and of our partners. We do this in a symbiotic relationship type of way. And last but not least, I just wanted to let you know that there are some upcoming angel events. We encourage everybody to attend. Firstly, Ontario's Follow-On Investment Forum. This one's coming up real fast, actually, June 18th. There's actually a early bird registration that closes in a week, or less than a week now at this point. And this event will be held at the corner at Bay and Queen at the Arcadian Court. And this is going to be an Ontario-specific event where you're going to have angel investors, VCs, and companies getting together for a one-day event. A little bit further down the road, we have our National Angel Summit. This is our major event of the year. This is where we get the angels to connect face-to-face, and we bring in, of course, government partners as well. We bring in startup companies. There's a 3-day program, essentially, and this year it's happening in Banff from November 20th to the 22nd. I encourage anybody that's interested in getting to know the angel community to come out and visit us at Banff. Using that website right there, you can actually find out more information and register for the event. Okay? So now, I guess I'm going to take some questions. Yes? Could I get you to... Sorry, I can't hear your question.
Thanks for your talk. Does NACO have an official position on crowdfunding, and are you doing anything to kind of look into leveraging that?
Yeah, we do. We do actually. We made a submission to the Ontario Securities Commission on the crowdfunding consultation, and essentially our official position is cautiously optimistic. We think there's a great place for this to play. Our concerns, of course, have to do with the way that it's actually executed and the extent to which some of the concerns that have been raised, either around the complexity of the deals, the ability of these deals to find follow-on sources of funding after being crowdfunded, how these crowdfunding can play with other sources of funding, and of course, the risk to kind of, the mom and pop or the granny who's investing her pension, those kind of things. As long as those are dealt with, we're cautiously optimistic about the future of crowdfunding. Any other questions? Maybe something more specific about some of the programs or services that we provide? No? Yes? If you can speak loudly, Al. Oh, the follow-on, this one here? This one is happening on June 18th. Oh, I should have said on there. Sorry about that. It's happening on June 18th, and that one is here in Ontario. The one after that is November 20th to 22nd. So, yeah.
Any other questions for Yuri at this point?
Yeah. Well, one last thing I might suggest is if you're interested in finding out more about the angel community, I do suggest you go onto our website. It's www.nacocanada.com. We do have a number of resources on there. Many of them are only available to our angel members because we do focus on providing value to them. But shortly, you should be able to see an angel directory on there that's going to go live probably in the next week or so. And that will actually allow you to be able to find angel investors that choose to be public, because not all of them do. They're typically a private asset class. But you'll be able to find those investors around the country and see if they might be interested in hearing your ideas. Thank you.
Thanks, Yuri. For those of you just joining us, again, my name is Richard Franklin. I'm the Manager of Partnerships at the Ontario Centres of Excellence. And it's my pleasure now for our next presenter in the Innovation Partners Theatre to introduce from the MaRS Discovery District here in Toronto, Usha Srinivasan. She is the Program Director of the Business Accelerator Program. And the Business Acceleration Program provides a suite of services as well as educational and funding programs for Ontario's high-potential technology companies and entrepreneurs. Of course, if you have any questions, there's going to be an opportunity to ask at the end of the presentation. So, Shriva, thanks.
Hi, everyone. I realize this presentation is between you and the drinks, and I will be quick so that you can get to your drinks for the day. And if you have more questions, obviously we can exchange cards, and I can help you with that. First of all, what is BAP? So, the Business Acceleration Program is really a funding mechanism, okay, and it allows for all of the regional innovation centers and other one network partners, the Ontario Networks of Entrepreneurs, to deliver programming, okay? That's basically what it is. So we manage that for the province of Ontario. If you see that there's a new website called onebusiness.ca, if you go to that website, you will be able to find centers, either regional innovation centers if you are a technology entrepreneur, or if you're a Main Street business, like a retail, etc., you could go to your closest small business enterprise centers. So depending on your need, it will direct you to the right place where you could plug into all of these resources that I'm going to tell you about, right? So what does it fund? So it funds a couple of different things. Number one is on the bottom, as you can see. Do I have a pointer here? No, I don't, right? It funds the Regional Innovation Center programming itself, meaning there are educational programs that are run at those centers. here in Toronto, MaRS is the largest regional innovation centers. If you happen to live in the York region, the Venture Lab is your largest center. If you happen to live in Waterloo, Communitech is your center. So depending on where you are, you go to those centers, and there's various kinds of entrepreneurship programming that they run that you could leverage, okay? And I will tell you a little bit more about the ones that we run at MaRS, but feel free to access everything that's available through your whole network. The other thing that we do is a small funding competition. Now, to access any of these things, you do need to be a client at the Regional Innovation Center, and it doesn't cost you anything. So you could be a member at any of these centers, so feel free to access them through that. So the funding competitions are also through the advisory services at these centers, so you need to be part of that, their mentorship services, so that they can include you in their, developing your business plan, et cetera, and then you can apply for the funding competitions that we run through them, okay? The other two things are centralized services, the market intelligence and the entrepreneurship education. Again, free services to be accessed through the regional innovation centers. So we'll get into a little bit more detail on those two, the centralized services. I guess one thing I wanted to say in terms of eligibility, in terms of criteria, in case there might probably is a broad spectrum of entrepreneurs here in the audience, so just in case. So you could be a student entrepreneur, right? And you're probably maybe linked to a campus-linked accelerator or an entrepreneurship program, then you're eligible to receive our services, but you need to work with your mentor or whoever the commercialization officer is in those universities. So these are some places we already provide some of our services to, like the Next 36 and Techno at U of T, McMaster XCE program, the Embed program in Waterloo, and U-Test and Creative Destruction Lab also associated with U of T. So if you are associated with any of those, you could potentially access these resources. And if you're a professor entrepreneur, obviously you should work through your commercialization office to do that. And of course, if you're not associated with the university at all, you could still be a private entrepreneur and you could be registered as a client. Note that the services provided by the regional innovation centers are really tech and social entrepreneur focused. But if you're in the main street, if you're a retail business and if you're in the food sector, we don't have the right set of capabilities to help you. So you would be working really with a small business enterprise center in that case, just to make sure I'm making a distinction here. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the educational resources that you could be utilizing as you're building your business plan and so on. So there's 3 different things, events that I'd already talked about. There's quite a lot of things that goes on throughout the province. Actually, I'm going to skip to the next one, which shows a little bit more. So at MaRS, we have certain events, but there are other things going on in other places. Online, we have a whole suite of articles, workbooks on the MaRS website called Entrepreneurship Toolkit. If you haven't been on there, please do take some time to go and explore. All of those things are available free of charge for you to download and use. And if you're a client of MaRS, those resources can also be used in workshops. So what I mean by workshops, these are hands-on workshops, and I'll tell you a little bit more about different types. But essentially, these are 9 to 15 people coming together, and there's a facilitator. It's for a couple of days, spread between weeks, where you can actually work with other entrepreneurs and figure out, what's my value proposition? What am I going to do with my business, and so on. So I'll tell you what other workshops there are. So our on-site stuff, we have our flagship event, Entrepreneurship 101, that's run every year, that goes from September to May. The incentive to participate is a 30-lecture series, and at the end of it, you can apply to participate in a business plan competition, provided you've attended 20 of the courses. And we just had our Upstart competition last week and announced the winner and so on. So this is a great community for you to participate in. 400 people show up every Wednesday, 6 to 7, between September and May. If you don't happen to live in Toronto, you can still participate because we live webcast it. So you could be asking questions live, you could participate, you could correspond with the speaker and ask him questions and so on. So participate wherever you are. This is a provincial resource, so we make sure we live webcast these things. But there are also other kinds of events that we run on best practices, industry-specific events. We always make sure we live webcasting. So if you are signed up from the MaRS newsletter, you will know what events are coming up, and then you can leverage them. Okay? This is the online resource that I talked about. We know that entrepreneurs, as entrepreneurs, you want to bite-sized things very quickly. So these are bite-sized things, short articles, videos, etc., that will help you get up to speed on many things. So there's inspirational and advice type of things, strategies, on other courses that we have, many articles. There's also a searchable funding database, which is actually we are going to be partnering with the funding portal very soon, which has over 4,000 funding sources, much more than ours, and that will be available through us as well. This is a free resource so that you can leverage. It has public resources and private databases that you can look at. This is the workshops that I talk about. There's 5 modules of workshops. They work in sequence. You don't have to go to all of them, but it's recommended that you take them in sequence. Progresses you through different stages. I think regardless of what stage you are, it is very helpful to work with a bunch of entrepreneurs from very different sectors and say, okay, I really need to rethink my business plan of what I'm going to do and what's my value proposition, and then progress along to all the way to how do I make that pitch of B2B sales and make that cold call. So it's very helpful to go through that. And our facilitators actually travel throughout the province to deliver this. You don't have to be a client at MaRS just to take advantage of this. We deliver it all the way from Thunder Bay to Ottawa to Windsor. So depending on where you live, you can go to your local regional innovation center to leverage this, okay? This is just to give you an idea of what stage, depending on if you're an idea stage, launch, or growth, you could be digesting different resources based on your needs. That's all I was trying to show here. The other service that we offer is the market intelligence services. Now, before I get to the eligibility, which you can see, what we are offering is, as you're building your business plan, you'll have questions about, okay, how big a market size am I going after? What other competing technology might there be? Are there any other technologies that infringe on my patent? You know, there might be various questions. Who might be investing in this space? So as you go through those questions, you as an entrepreneur, we know, don't have the money to buy a $5,000 report. So this service helps you find all that information. We give it to you free of charge, okay? But the only criteria is you must be an Ontario entrepreneur, and you should not have more than $1 million in revenues or more than $2 million in investment. These criteria are only because the databases, we have access to 22 different databases, but the reason we have these requirements is we don't want to take away business from these databases, but at the same time, we're doing some free marketing for them, and when you make your $1 million, you might buy something from them. So that's a reason for the criteria. So what do? We don't do any primary research. What I mean is we're not going to make a phone call and generate that information for you, but we will extract all the information from the existing resources, so secondary research, and provide it to you, the whole report or custom report free of charge. So how do you engage? We talked about this a little bit. Sorry, I can't go back, can I? Yeah. So connect with your RIC. Your mentor and advisor will be assigned to you. When you're working with them, there'll be a simple form that you fill out. It comes to us. You'll be acknowledged. In less than, usually it's 5 to 8 business days, you will get the research. There's no limits on how many times you can come back and ask us the questions. And then, you know, we help us. You can refine it more. Sometimes ask the top 5 questions, top 3 or 5 questions, and then once you've digested the information, come back for more information. These are some of the databases that we have access to. You do not need to know who they are and what they do, because we know who they are and what they do. All you need to ask us is the kind of things you're trying to figure out, the questions. And then we know our vendors. These are the best of the best vendors in the market that we have access to, that have been kind enough to give us a not-for-profit rate. And we are able to leverage that for you, okay? One other resource that I wanted to point out is called the Startup Library. You know, please do make a note of that URL if you'd really like. So much of the information is in the public domain. It doesn't always live in proprietary databases. And to help entrepreneurs like yourself, you might be spending hours, surfing, and you know what it's like when you're Googling. You will just get into this wormhole of information, and you're thinking, where did I even start? What was my question? And I have so much information in front of me. So what we've done is pick specific topics that's relevant to entrepreneurs and found the best resources for you, the public links, curated links, and put it in Startup Library. So this is for you to help yourself to find information. So it's free. Go to the site and see if you can learn more for your own sector on this. We've recently added stuff on mobile and clean tech, but there's a lot more things in there. And last but not least, if you're an entrepreneur in the province and you are in a particular sector, healthcare IT, SaaS, or energy sector, etc. We as analysts working in or entrepreneur or service providers working in this space, we get to see all of the innovations that's happening. The market intelligence team has worked with over 1,000 entrepreneurs just this year alone, and over 4,000 in the past 4 years. So we get to see what are the strengths of the province. So we actually write about it in white papers, but these are educational for you as an entrepreneur if you're trying to get into that space. If you are a energy entrepreneur trying to get into the energy space, there are content in there that you could look at to understand what's going on. So there are profiles of the entrepreneurs as well. So this is another free resource. Feel free to look at that. If you go to the MaRS booth, which is somewhere over there, there are some postcards of past reports that have been done if you need to look at any of those. And that's it. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Questions, comments, issues, or concerns?
They just want to get their drink.
Okay, well, thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, well, thank you. And without any further ado, thank you, Usha, for that presentation. Outstanding. And that concludes, ladies and gentlemen, our Innovation Partner presentations for this evening. And I would like, on behalf of the Ontario Centres of Excellence, to thank all of our presenters, for taking that time to enlighten us on their many programs and organizations and resources that are available to work with you, the entrepreneurs, to move Ontario innovation forward. So thank you all again, and join us here in this theatre for more presentations tomorrow. Please enjoy the opening reception, and I'll see you there. Thank you.